Thank you all for coming tonight. I want to acknowledge Ronay and Adam and all the dedicated board and staff members of Phipps Houses. I grew up in a real estate family imbued with a passion for building apartment buildings. Because my own career began in the field of affordable housing with Starrett City, with 5,888 apartments when I was 22 years old, I understand and admire the work that you do in stabilizing neighborhoods and helping move people from welfare to work. Phipps Houses has a noble 106-year history, and it is an irreplaceable resource for the future. I've received a number of awards over the years, but this one has a special meaning to me. In reflecting on the life and history of Henry Phipps, I've found many touchstones that parallel my own family. My grandfather, Morris Milstein, was, like Henry Phipps, an immigrant who made his way in a new country. My father, Paul, invested in some of the very same neighborhoods as Phipps Houses. Both Paul Milstein and Henry Phipps targeted neighborhoods that were formerly in a state of decay and anchored them with attractive and affordable residences. In 1906, the first model Phipps Houses were completed in Kips Bay at 321 to 327 East 31st Street. In 1988, Milstein Properties built Windsor Court just up the street, covering the entire square block, 151 East 31st Street, between Lex and 3rd. And starting as early as the 1960s, between 29th Street and 38th Street, we built Riverview East, Murray Hill Mews, and the Biltmore Plaza. Also in 1906, Phipps purchased property on West 63rd and 64th Streets. In the 1970s, Milstein Properties built 1 Lincoln Plaza and then 30 Lincoln Plaza with more than 1,200 apartments on those very same streets. Phipps Houses builds not-for-profit affordable housing for the working class. My family's real estate companies, since 1950, have built 30,000 affordable and low-income units throughout the metropolitan area. The formation of Phipps Houses in 1905 emerged from Henry Phipps's concern about tuberculosis. He understood that the new law tenements in New York City were a primary contributor to the spread of TB. Accordingly, he established the Institute for Study, Treatment, and Prevention of Tuberculosis in Philadelphia in 1903. In 2006, my wife Abby and I founded 2 programs at Weill Cornell Medical College. These do cutting-edge research in infectious disease, with a special focus on multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. In 1912, Phipps established the Henry Phipps Psychiatric Service at Johns Hopkins. Exactly 100 years later, my family created the Irma and Paul Milstein Center for Senior Health with the doctors there. And 2 of the doctors with whom I've worked closely for many years have illustrious histories at Johns Hopkins. Dr. Howard Jones, now at more than 100 years old, who ran the OBGYN program there and later went on to found the Jones Institute for Reproductive Medicine in Virginia. And Dr. George Hambrick, who taught dermatology there for 10 years before coming to New York and sharing Weill Cornell's dermatology department. I still work with both these men in their medical foundations, which I chair. Fast forward to the mid-20th century. During the period from 1950 to 1970, hospitals found themselves in need of apartments for doctors, nurses, and staff. Phipps Houses helped meet this need by building and managing apartments for New York Hospital, where I have long been a longtime trustee of Cornell Medical College. Today, we continue to labor in the same fields and vineyards as Mr. Phipps. The work is never done. As you may know, Henry Phipps was one of Andrew Carnegie's partners in the steel business. One of Henry Phipps's 17 grandchildren tells a story about a chat that took place between his grandfather and Carnegie. In discussing philanthropy, Carnegie told Phipps that he was too impulsive and tended to follow his heart more than his head. Well, more than 100 years later, I think we can all agree that Phipps was a trailblazer and that his vision has stood the test of time. He offered proof that sound philanthropy takes both heart and head. It's a signal honor to receive an award that bears his name. Thank you for including me in the house that Phipps built.